thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Eran here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
It looks like Palestinian Authority President Abbas may be burying the hatchet with longtime political rival Hamas, and in a very sudden and rare turn of events, Abbas has invited representatives from Hamas to his headquarters in Ramallah. Now they're discussing reconciling their decades-long rivalry over control of the West Bank and Gaza. The Palestinian Authority's official news outlet is reporting that the talks covered an overall assessment of the Palestinian situation and began discussions for unity and an end to divisions. Things have been bitter between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas since 2007, when Hamas wrested control of Gaza away from the PA, and this is coming right after Hamas and the PA made a rare coordinated effort and successfully boycotted Israel's security measures on the Temple Mount. So this could mean a major change is underway for leadership in Gaza and the West Bank. Despite a return to regular prayer and an end to demonstrations in Jerusalem over security measures at the Temple Mount, Turkey has now taken it upon itself to host a meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to continue to issue condemnations of Israel. Ankara serves as chairman of the OIC, which includes foreign ministries and other top officials from the Muslim world. At the meeting in Istanbul, Turkish President Erdogan and the other Muslim leaders traded turns at the podium, calling for actions against the, quote, recent provocative actions at the Temple Mount, i.e. the installation and subsequent removal of metal detectors and cameras at Temple Mount entrances in response to a major terror attack on July 14th. A collective statement released by the OIC accuses Israel of, quote, employing collective punishment measures and the use of lethal and excessive force against peaceful Palestinian worshippers at the site, end quote. It goes on to say that Israel is guilty of persistent public statements that incite religious sensitivities, feed tension, and incite violence. Palestinian Authority Foreign Minister Riyad al-Malki had maybe some of the strongest words of the event, though, warning of an Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu that he described as bloodthirsty and disinterested in peace. Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi had similar condemnations to air. Israel has vehemently and repeatedly denied wanting to change the status quo at the Temple Mount, and video footage of the, quote, peaceful demonstrations show them to be anything but. And let's not forget that the state already removed the security measures in question last week. The United States Taylor Force Act, which would cut United States funding to the PA by roughly $240 million over its payment to terrorists and their families, has just been re-released on Tuesday with revamped language. The new text incorporates advice from the panel hearing last month, but does not include a section allowing the president to waive or ignore the bill over security risks. The other text in the bill has remained essentially unchanged, calling on all donor countries to immediately cease direct budgetary support for the Palestinian Authority until they stop all payments that incentivize terror. It also demands the PA remove laws from the books that result in terrorist compensation. The listed exceptions to the budget cuts are humanitarian programs like the East Jerusalem Hospital Network. The Taylor Force Act, named for former United States Army officer Taylor Force, who was stabbed to death in Tel Aviv in March 2016, will now be reviewed by the Foreign Relations Committee, allowing for any remaining amendments to be added before going to the House for a final vote. As a casualty in part of the long, ongoing on-again, off-again strike at the Israeli Foreign Ministry, thousands of high schoolers may now have to miss out on a major educational Holocaust trip to Poland. Ministry workers who have been complaining over poor wages and working conditions are refusing to issue visas to the trip's security guards. If the guards can't travel, then some 8,000 students who've already paid their fees may be out of luck. To add insult to injury, the Education Ministry has already announced that it would not be able to absorb the loss of refunding the thousands of shekels paid by the students' parents. Turning to the Jerusalem Labor Court, the Finance and Education Ministries are now trying to force the Foreign Ministry to issue the travel documents, but it's a slow and possibly fruitless path. The good news, though, is that there should be nothing to worry about if this strike is anything like the last two. In March, the diplomatic corps at the Foreign Ministry threatened to delay or bottleneck work permits for Chinese construction workers, and then in May they threatened again to ruin United States President Donald Trump's visit to Israel somehow. Neither threat panned out, though, as both the 6,000 Chinese workers and Donald Trump all came to Israel without feeling a thing. Prime Minister Netanyahu's first son, Yair, is making waves on social media today in the wake of a Facebook tirade where he attacked the Mulad Center for the Renewal of Israeli Democracy for defamation of his character. Under the name Yair Hun, Netanyahu deflected Mulad's accusations, writing, quote, "I won't comment on all the lies and mudslinging, but how lovely it is that your side always confuses issues of incitement, demonization, character assassination, and crossing red lines. What about investigating the sources of funding for this delusional page? Or investigations into late former Prime Minister Sharon's son, who went to jail? Or former Prime Minister Olmert's son, who has interesting relationships with the Palestinians? Or even Perez's son, who killed another soldier while in the army? End quote. Yair's response was to a Molad post titled 5 Things You Didn't Know About Yair Netanyahu, in which Molad writes of Yair as being an entitled and spoiled 25-year-old who still lives at home with his parents, has round-the-clock state-provided security detail, and has no official employment.
That's all for now. I'm Eran, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.